Hello again, and thank you for staying with us. We continue our special focus on the Madlanga Commission this evening. Security analyst and Unisa's associate professor in the police practice department, that's Dumisani Mabunda. He joins us now for more on the inquiry as it wraps up the year, with only a few days left before the release of the interim report. Prof, good to have you on the program this evening. So when looking at the killing, for instance, of Witness D, this being the latest development here, what does it reveal about the current state of whistleblower protection frameworks, especially in South Africa?
Good evening, Tlantla, and good evening to the viewers. We are all aware of the difficulties that witnesses are facing in South Africa. And yesterday's situation is very unfortunate. Condolences to the family. But we hope that the investigation in this matter and other related matters will be expedited. Just this afternoon, I was reading the stats by the acting minister about unsolved cases in this country. We hope that this one is not going to be added in that list because the number is staggering. But the reasons are already known, that the investigators in this country are overwhelmed with dockets, and coupled with corruption, some cases end up being what we call cold cases. I hope some serious investigations will take place regarding yesterday's incident. Looking at the testimony that he gave in camera, the net shouldn't be widened at this stage. It should be narrowed to individuals that are prime suspects until they are eliminated, and then the net can be cast wider.
So given that Van der Merwe was not under state protection, despite testifying before a high-profile commission, Prof, what does this say about gaps between policy and practice in really protecting key witnesses?
Yeah, we know that there are gaps. Yes, sometimes witnesses find this witness protection a very difficult situation because it interrupts with their daily or normal lives. So some of them end up not accepting the program, hoping that they will take care of themselves. But once you are a witness in high-profile cases, you need to know that you are in a spotlight. And criminals knows that you eliminate witnesses, then the case will not go anywhere because the judgment in court is based on evidence. So if the witnesses are eliminated, there is no case that is going to come out of that situation. What happened yesterday will definitely scare other witnesses. I'm not so sure what is happening with witness A, B, and C because we know now the fate of witness D and other witnesses that were willing to participate in this process, whether they will continue or they will withdraw. So we're hoping that if they choose to continue to participate in a program, there will be safeguards around them and their loved ones.
I want us to expand on that. How significant is this murder, especially in the broader context of the Madlanga Commission's findings about the criminalization, really, of law enforcement structures, particularly within EMPD in Ekurhuleni?
Yeah, South Africa is a unique country. In other countries, lawlessness, like we are seeing right now in South Africa, should not be tolerated. But we have a constitution that gives everyone a right. At this stage, as analysts, we think that the people that are struggling against crime is law-abiding citizens, because criminals don't find it very difficult to acquire unlawful firearms and terrorize every one of us. The only people that are struggling is law-abiding citizens. I can tell you, Ntantla, if you go to the police station right now to try and apply for a license, you will be scrutinized until you sometimes give up. But criminals don't go that way. They acquire illegal firearms to terrorize the communities, and they know that nothing will happen. And then the first thing that they will do when they are arrested is to eliminate witnesses, and the case will not go anywhere.
Yeah. When listening to testimony, the Commission suggests elements of state-sponsored violence and collusion between rogue officers and private security. Let's speak about this. What systematic factors allow such networks to indeed flourish in a country like South Africa?
A good question, Tlantla. You listen to the witness that was speaking about how they are recruiting special task force members. They dangle a carrot for them. They give them high salaries. And the police is not able to match that. So I do not know if there is a political will by the government to retain skills, because they spend so much money training these individuals, and they don't pay them accordingly until they leave for greener pastures. So it is expected that the government will look into this issue in terms of remunerating officers, because what is happening right now is not a general problem. There are still good officers in the SAPS and other law enforcement agencies in South Africa. But if nothing is done to have a retention strategy, they will soon be recruited by these companies, and that will be a drain and a waste of resources by the SAPS.
Prof, also interesting for me is that Vanda Merwe's company was involved in anti-illicit mining operations. Should investigators then be considering multiple motives, including organized crime here and corruption within policing, rather than just his commission testimony?
Yeah, his matter is so strange. Let me start by looking at how he lost his life. Apparently, someone confirmed that an AK-47 was used, but only 2 rifles, cartridges were found. We know that an AK-47 is an automatic rifle. Maybe that one was a semi-automatic one to just fire 2 rounds, because we are told that only 2 rounds were found. So, meaning that those were trained assassins to be able to use only 2 rounds with an automatic rifle. But yes, we don't have more details about what other activities he was involved in. But what we propose is that they must start looking at his testimony at Madlanga Commission. If there's nothing linking that to his assassination, then the net can be cast wider.
Yeah. As we continue tracking reactions, we also heard from President Cyril Ramaphosa, who's pledged to redouble efforts to protect whistleblowers, Prof. In practical terms, what immediate steps should the government then take to restore public confidence after this incident?
Yeah, and we have so many progressive policies in this country. But the challenge, as we all know, is the implementation of these policies. Even articles that have been written and books about witness protection, they are there. But when it comes to implementing, it's a challenge. And also, we know that the authorities are always encouraging citizens to report crime to the police. But with this gap of witness protection that we're experiencing today, very few witnesses will come forward with information, because no one wants to risk his life and that of his family by reporting a crime that they witnessed, but it is not directly affecting them. So we need to look at why this witness program has got some gaps and try to plug those gaps, and hopefully witnesses will be willing to provide information about crime in this country.
Yeah. Prof, many whistleblowers report threats long before anything happens. What mechanisms, formal or informal, should exist to really respond to very quickly, especially when individuals do raise these red flags, if you will?
Yeah, I think as we were told all the time, when they raise red flags, apparently the police offer them protection and unfortunately, some of them, because they don't want their lives to be disrupted, apparently they refuse this assistance. So, but I think it is about time that when witnesses report a serious crime, they must be willing to go through that program, because that will ensure their safety. At this stage, I'm not so sure, looking at yesterday's incident, what is going through the minds of witness A, B, and C, and other witnesses which were willing to come forward to give more information, whether they will still continue or they will withdraw, because what happened yesterday might have scared something out of them, and it may negatively impact on the commission's reports going forward.
Yeah, which segues quite nicely to my next point. I mean, how does the killing of a commission witness especially, how does it affect the credibility or even the momentum or even safety of the Madlanga Commission moving forward?
Yeah, it's a good question, Tantla. When you have time to visit that venue, you will find that the security is very important. But no one knows what happens to witnesses that come out of that venue. And it will seriously have a negative impact on the commission going forward. Whether witnesses will communicate with the commission to say, we are no longer willing to come to testify physically, we would rather submit an affidavit, whether that will be acceptable. Because the challenge is some witnesses, as we have seen, there is a possibility of them appearing once and be recalled at a later stage. So what happened yesterday may discourage other witnesses to appear before the commission physically.
Yeah.
They may request to either withdraw or submit their information in writing, but that will not assist, because sometimes they will have to write a number of affidavits when they have to be cross-examined at the later stage.
And finally, Prof, what legislative or even institutional reforms would you prioritize to ensure that future whistleblowers are not left vulnerable, especially when their testimony implicates powerful actors within law enforcement?
Yeah, with the current situation, when witnesses are killed, and if there can be thorough investigations and we get to the bottom of this and people that are implicated are arrested and a message is sent through them, perhaps it will discourage others from doing that. But as we witness every day in this country, it is easy to kill people and nothing happened. Looking at the situation that I was painting, the acting minister indicating that millions and millions of cases have not been solved. So there will be a continuation of that problem until we have well-trained detectives which are capacitated to deal with these issues. I'm not talking about dealing with that backlog, but from now going forward, perhaps we can be able to expedite investigations. In this country, it is not unusual to see a case postponed in December to the December of 2026. You ask yourself, by that time, will the witness still be willing to participate after a year-long hiatus? So it's a challenge in this country, not only for the police, but the criminal justice system need to be overhauled, and some strategies be developed to try and deal with these cases that are reported.
Yeah. Prof, very quickly before I let you go, there's a statement that's just been released by Nat Joints and the Madlanga Commission, which basically outlines that the Nat Joints co-chairs, inclusive of SAPS, SANDF, and SSA, they've met with officials from the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry following the gruesome murder of Marius van der Merwe. And what's being said here is that while extensive measures have been put in place to secure witnesses and the safety of officials since the start of the commission, the meeting did identify a need to heighten security measures by roping in NAT joints and all other relevant stakeholders as well. Are you indeed encouraged by a statement like this from government?
Yeah, on paper, it's an encouraging statement, but one will have to wait and see if it will be implemented, because as I indicated earlier on, we are not running short of good strategies and policies, but you see problems persisting. One asks a question, what more needs to be done, because we have strategies to deal with these issues. We are hoping that the security that we are seeing at that venue will filter down to the witnesses unless they refuse to be protected. And that must be recorded so that should anything happen with any of them, there will be records that assistance was given to them, but they didn't want to take such assistance.
Professor Mabunda, thank you so much for your time. That's Professor Dumisani Mabunda giving us his perspective, of course, reacting to the murder as well of Marius van der Merwe last night. We bring you more news and updates.